through this paper with you since I can't be there today, and talk about the next project here because you're going to start the planning portion of this. And you'll notice in your handouts there is a paper that looks like it's got two cubes on it to be filled in, and that's what you're going to sort of be drawing on today. So you're going to think about the patterns, and that line design that you've been doing is sort of like a segue into this, is to find a pattern that appeals to you, that you like, that you think that you would be able to put on onto a box as a carving. It can be a single pattern like this that repeats itself throughout, or like this, or like the ones that I have on my desk, which is more like, and it doesn't have to be an amoeba looking thing. But something that is sort of like a variation on a theme that you'd put all over the outside. Or you could do something that was a little bit more themed. So this one, for example, is, it's got this repetitive pattern all over the outside of it, but then it does have like an image here. I'm guessing that's like a tree that's on the outside, but it's still carved into the surface of the pot. And this was more like a sgraffito thing. Like, so after the pot was leather hard, it was painted with a black underglaze and then carved into. That's what this one is as well, black underglaze, and then it was sort of carved into here, and then there are areas where it's been glazed. So let's just go through this real quick here. So you're going to look at your patterns and decide what you want to do with them or what you think you're going to use. And then you're going to just, like I said, you're going to carve with a thin loop tool, not a pin tool, because a pin tool just creates scratchy lines. A loop tool actually physically removes clay. So you can choose a single pattern to repeat, like in boxes A and C. And notice how there's black on the outside of here. So part of these are glazed and part of them are not. I'm guessing that maybe some wax resist was put in here. So we're going to try these different techniques. Like if you wanted to do something like this and you wanted some areas that you didn't get glaze on, you would paint those with a wax resist. Or you would just very carefully paint it and make sure that no glaze got down inside those lines. And then when it's finished, you can or like in here, you could actually just use an acrylic paint and push that down inside those lines and it'll stain the clay underneath. So you're going to think about what you want to do. So you can choose a curve to carve a line and divide your space up like box B. So I think this one was kind of interesting, and I think there's two in the kiln right now that I just finished firing just as examples. So I did one that's sort of like this where it was like all straight lines and divided spaces. But dividing things into lines like that does make it very easy to glaze. The glaze will just sort of flow very nicely inside those spots. And I think I like it. It's like a fun box. It's, a cool color scheme. So you are just basically deciding how you're going to translate that space. So read through these things. And I'll go through here again. So again, we've got some like sgraffito ideas. This is sgraffito and glaze. This is just glazing with areas that were unglazed. And so you're going to think about how you want to do this. So you could do a box where you put pattern on just the bottom portion and leave the top open. You can put a topper on top of your box or feet on it if you wanted to. So things your box must have. You have to have some form of pattern, whether it be repetitive or a pattern that demonstrates a variation of a theme. Some of your pattern will be glazed and some of your pattern should be underglazed. So there should be this, shiny slash non-shiny area. And maybe the parts that are underglazed or not shiny might just be just the lines in between. So it could be minimal like that, or maybe a portion of the lid. You can add extra things on there like this one or like that one. So carved line areas that are left unglazed should show the white surface of the clay or be filled in with black. Color must be a specific color family. So warm and cool, primary, secondary, complementary, analogous, or monochromatic. And we talked about some of those while you were coloring your boxes in. And again, you can have feet or a topper. So I want you to think about this today. You can have, like I said, a theme where you recognize something in it, or it can just be arbitrary. You can add a little topper on here. But what I want you to do now is look at your line designs and see what you can translate onto that paper that I gave you with the cubes on them. All right. And do that today. Make sure you put your name on it and collect them. Like, give them back to the sub when you're done. Thanks.